Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you people are doing good. Welcome to your physics lecture of class pre-9th. Today we are going to discuss the exercise of unit number 4, that is turning effects of forces. First question is define the following. Number 1 is resultant vector, number 2 is torque, number 3 is center of mass, and the fourth is center of gravity. First of all, we will discuss the resultant vector. A resultant vector is a single vector that has the same effect as that the combined effect of all the vectors to be added, or the sum of two or more vector in a single vector which has the same effect on the combined effect of all the vectors to be added. This single vector is called resultant vector. Next is torque. The turning effect of a force is called a torque or moment of the force. Torque is equals to F into L. Torque is a vector quantity and its direction can be found by using the right hand rule. Unit of torque is Newton meter. Next is center of mass. Center of mass of a system is such a point where an applied force causes the system to move without rotation. Center of gravity is that point where the whole weight of the body appears to act vertically downward. Next question is differentiate between the following: like and unlike parallel forces, torque and couple, stable and neutral equilibrium. Firstly, we have to discuss differentiate between the like and unlike parallel forces. Like parallel forces are that kind of forces that are parallel to each other and have the same direction, but unlike parallel forces are that kind of forces that are parallel but have the direction opposite to each other. Next is differentiate between torque and couple. Torque is the special kind of force that has the capacity to rotate an object about its axis, while a force is described as the pull or push. It is better to be think of a torque as a twist. In a special case, when applied forces vectors to added to be zero, then the force is called a couple and their moment is called as torque. Thus, the rotational force that produced no moment of a two forces, the moment of a couple, is called a torque. When a driver turns a steering wheel, he exerts two equal but opposite forces on it. The two forces form a couple. The turning effect of a couple is the sum of the moment of the two forces. So, the moment of a couple is called a torque. Next is differentiate between the stable and neutral equilibrium. States of equilibrium are stable equilibrium, unstable, and neutral equilibrium. Stable equilibrium is that type of equilibrium when the center of gravity of a body lies below the point of the suspension or a support. The body is said to be in a stable equilibrium. For example, a book laying on a table is in the stable equilibrium. A book laying on a table in a horizontal surface is an example of stable equilibrium. If the book is lifted from one edge and allowed it to fall, it will become back to its original position. Other examples of stable equilibrium are bodies lying on a floor such as chair, table, etc. Unstable equilibrium when a center of the gravity of a body lies above the point of the suspension or a support. The body is said to be in unstable equilibrium. For example, a pencil is standing on its tip or the stick is vertically standing position. If a thin rod standing vertically is slightly disturbed from its position, it will not come back to its original position. Such a type of equilibrium is called unstable equilibrium. Neutral equilibrium is that kind of equilibrium when a center of the gravity of a body lies at the point of suspension or support. The body is said to be in neutral equilibrium. Like if a ball is pushed slightly to roll, neither will it will become to its original position nor it will roll forward, rather it will remain at rest. This type of equilibrium is called a neutral equilibrium. Because if a ball is rolled, its center of gravity is neither raised or neither lowered. This means that its center of gravity is at the same height as before. Next question is how head to tail rule helps to find the resultant of a force. Addition of vector by head to tail rule is to add the vector, draw representative lines of these vectors in such a way that the head of the first vector coincides with the tail of the second vector. The line joining the tail of the first vector with the head of the second vector represents the resultant vector. The direction of the resultant vector is from the tail of the first vector towards the head of the second. This is called the head to tail rule, as shown in the figure. Next question is how a force be resolved into its rectangular components. Students, as we know, resolution of a force or a vector is the process of splitting up vectors into their components. Force is called a resolution of force. Or the other definition of resolution of force is splitting up of a force into two mutually perpendicular components is called a resolution of that force. Vector resolution is reversed from vector addition. Perpendicular components or a rectangular components is consider a force that is F represented by a line OA making an angle with an x-axis. Draw a perpendicular AB on an x-axis from point A. According to head to tail rule, OA is the resultant vector represented by OB and BA. So we have OA equals to OB plus BA, and OA is represented by a force F, OB is represented by a horizontal force that is F of x, and BA is represented by a vertical force that is F of y, as shown in the figure. So in right angle triangle that is OBA, cos of theta equals to base over hypotenuse that is equals to OB upon OA. By putting these quantities f of x upon f of x equals to OB and f is equals to OA, which is equals to cos of theta. By this we have f of x equals to f cos of theta, that is the horizontally force. And the magnitude of the vertical components, that is f of y, which is equals to sine of theta equals to perpendicular over hypotenuse. Perpendicular equals to BA and hypotenuse equals to OA. By putting these equations, we have f of y upon f equals to sine of theta. By this we have vertical components, that is f of y equals to f sine of theta. Next question is why a body is said to be in equilibrium. A body is said to be in equilibrium if no net force acts on it. A body in equilibrium thus remains at rest or moves with a uniform velocity. For example, a car moving with uniform velocity on a level road and an aeroplane flying in air with uniform velocity are examples of bodies in equilibrium. Question number 4.7 is explain the first condition of equilibrium. First condition of equilibrium is that a body is said to satisfy the first condition of equilibrium if the resultant of all the forces acts on it 0. Let the n number of forces like F1, F2, F3 and so on up to Fn are acting on a body such that F1 plus F2 plus F3 up to so on f of n equals to 0. So sigma of f equals to 0. Here the symbol sigma is a Greek letter called sigma used for summation. So equation 1 is called the first condition of equilibrium. First condition of equilibrium can be stated in terms of x and y components. In a x components, that is f1 of x plus f2 of x plus f3 of x up to so on fn of x equals to 0. And along the y components, we have f1 of y plus f2 of y plus f3 of y up to so on fn of y equals to 0. So in case of sigma of f of x equals to 0 and sigma f of y equals to 0. So this is all about the first condition of equilibrium. Next is 4.8, that is why there is a need of second condition of equilibrium if a body satisfies first condition of equilibrium. First condition for equilibrium does not ensure that a body is in equilibrium. Consider a body pushed by the force F1 and F2. The two forces are equal but opposite to each other. Both are acting along the same line. Hence, the resultant will be 0. According to this first condition of equilibrium, the body will be in the equilibrium. Next question is 4.9, that is what is the second condition of equilibrium. A body satisfied second condition for equilibrium when the resultant torque acting on it is 0. Representation of second condition of equilibrium is summation of torque equals to 0. Next question 4.10 is give an example of a moving body which is in equilibrium. A car moving with uniform velocity on a level road and an aeroplane flying in air with uniform velocity are example of bodies that is in equilibrium. And the other example is a paratrooper coming down with the terminal velocity like constant velocity also satisfy first condition for equilibrium and thus it is in equilibrium state. Next question number 11 is think of a body that is in rest but not in equilibrium. Rest implies stationary, equilibrium implies a resultant force of vector is 0. Therefore, his body in equilibrium could be moving, for example, skydriver at terminal velocity, whereas resistive force are equal to the force of gravity. This means that a body can be in equilibrium and not at a rest. But a body at rest must be in equilibrium, otherwise it will move. So the answer is that it is impossible. Next question is why a body cannot be in equilibrium due to a single force acting on it? No. With only a single force present, the body will accelerate infinitely in the direction of force because the force that is alone applied will have some direction and the object will try to move in this direction under its influence. However, if two opposite and equal forces take a part, it gives rise to a null vector force. The body can be in rotational equilibrium under the impact of a single force. So that's why a body cannot be in equilibrium due to a single force acting on it. Now students, let's start to solve the numerical problems of this unit. Number 1 is find the resultant of the following forces. If 10 Newton along x-axis, 6 Newton along y-axis and 4 Newton along the negative axis. First of all, we have to find the f of x, that is net force along the x-axis, that is 10 minus 4 is equals to 6 Newton, and along the y-axis, that is f of y equals to force acting along the y-axis, which is equals to 5 Newton. Magnitude of the resultant forces which we want to calculate. So as we know that the magnitude of the resultant force is F equals to under root f of x plus f of y square. By putting these values of f of x and f of y, we have 36 plus 36. By taking under root of this equation, we have 8.5 Newton. Now we will calculate its direction, which is calculated by the formula theta equals to tan inverse f of y upon f of x. So by putting the value of f of y and f of x, we get tan inverse is 1. Tan inverse 1 is equals to 45 along with the x-axis. Next numerical is find the perpendicular components of the force of 50 Newton making an angle of 30 degree with the x-axis. Given data is force, that is 50 Newton, and angle is given as 30 degree along the x-axis. So f of x and f of y which we want to calculate. So f of x equals to f cos of theta and f of y equals to f sin of theta. So by putting the values of f of x equals to f cos of theta, in which f is 50 and theta is 30. So cos 30 is 0.866. By multiplying this to 50, we have 43.3 Newton. And f of y equals to f sin of theta. Theta is again 0.5 by multiplying the 30 with sine, and force is 50. So by multiplying the 50 into 0.5, we have the force along the y-axis, that is f of y equals to 25 Newton. Next is 4.3. Find the magnitude and direction of the force if its x component is 12 Newton and y component is 5. So given data is f of x is 12 Newton and f of y is 5 Newton. So we will find the magnitude of the force, that is F, and direction of the force, that is theta, which is also known as angle. As we know that magnitude of the force is F equals to under root f of x square plus f of y square. So by putting the value of f of x and f of y and by taking the under root, we have force equals to 13 Newton. Now we want to calculate the direction, that is theta equals to tan inverse equals to f of y upon f of x. So by putting the value of f of y, that is 12, and f of x is 5. So by putting this value and divided by 12 to 5, we have 2.4. So by taking the tan inverse, we have 22.6 with x-axis, that is the direction of the forces. And the next numerical is 4.4, that is a force of 100 Newton is applied perpendicular on a spanner at a distance of 10 cm from a net. Find the torque produced by the force. Given data is force equals to 100 Newton and the distance, that is L equals to 10 cm, that is equals to 0.1 meter by converting centimeter into a meter. So by calculating the torque, we have the formula tau equals to F into L. We have force 100 Newton and L is 0.1 meter. By multiplying the 0.1 into 100, we have 10 Newton meter, that is the torque. Next is a force is acting on a body making an angle of 30 degree with the horizontal. The horizontal component of the force is 20 Newton. Find the force. Angle is 30 with along the x-axis. Horizontal component of the force, that is F of x, equals to 20 Newton, and here we will find the force. So as we know that horizontal force, that is F of x, equals to F cos of theta. By putting these values F of x and theta is 30, so we have 20 Newton equals to F into 0.866. By rearranging, because we want to calculate the force, so by multiplying the 0.866 to the 20, we have 23.1 Newton, that is the force. Next numerical is the steering of the car has a radius 16 cm. Find the torque produced by a couple of 550 Newton. Radius, that is represented by R, and also L, we have 16 centimeter. By converting into meter, we have to divide 16 into 100, so we will get 0.16 meter. Couple arm is L equals to 16 centimeter equals to 16 upon 100 equals to 0.1 meter. So we want to find the torque. We have the torque equals to F into L. We have both values. The force is 50 Newton and L is 2 into 0.16 because the couple is involved. So we have 16 Newton meter. Next numerical is a picture is hanging by two vertical strings. The tension in the string is 3.8 Newton and 4.4 Newton. Find the weight of this picture frame. Tension T1 is 3.8 Newton and tension T2 is 4.4 Newton. Weight of the picture frame we have to find. When the picture is in equilibrium, then f of x equals to 0 and the summation f of y equals to 0. Therefore, tension into weight, tension minus weight equals to 0. By putting the values of tension, that is T1 plus T2 minus weight equals to 0. Here T1 plus T2 equals to weight. By putting the value of tension, that is 3.8 plus 4.4 equals to weight. So total weight is 8.2 Newton by adding the tension T1 and tension T2. Next is two blocks of the mass 5 kg and 3 kg are suspended by the two strings as shown in the figure. Find the tension in each string. Given data is mass of the large block, that is represented by capital M, which is equals to 5 kg, and mass of the small block, that is represented by the small m, and this is equal to 3 kg. So tension produced in each string is T1 and T2, that is we can find. So T1 equals to W1 plus W2. So by, as we know that W equals to mg, weight 1 W1 is the capital M into G plus weight 2 is small m into G. By taking the common G, we have capital M plus small m. So by putting the values of capital M and the small m, we have 3 plus 5 into 10. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 into 10 is 80 Newton. So the tension is T1 is 80 Newton and the T2 is T equals to mg. So T2 is equals to m is small. Mass of the block, that is 3 into G is 10. So T2 is equals to 30 Newton. Next, 4.9 is a nut has been tightened by a force of 200 Newton using 10 centimeter long spanner. What length of the spanner is required to loose the same nut with 150 Newton force? Given data is force, that is F of 1 equals to 200 Newton. Length, that is L1 equals to 10 centimeter. By converting this into meter, so we divide the 10 to 100, we have 0.1 meter. So the length of the spanner to tightening the same nut is force F2 equals to 150 Newton and length L2 which we want to calculate. So according to given condition, tau 1 equals to tau 2, tau 1 equals to F1 into L1 and tau 2 equals to F2 into L2. So by putting all of these values except L2, by rearranging, we have L2 equals to 13.3 centimeter. Last numerical is a block of mass 10 kg is suspended at a distance of 20 cm from the center of a uniform bar is 1 meter long. What force is required to balance it if its center of gravity by applying the force of the other end of the bar? Mass of the block is small m is equals to 10 kg and length of the bar is given as 1 meter. Moment arm of weight 1, that is L1, equals to 20 centimeter. By converting this into meter we have 0.2 meter, and moment arm of weight 2, that is W2, equals to L2 equals to 50 centimeter, that is by converting the meter we have 0.5 meter. Force required to balance the bar F2 equals to question mark, which we want to calculate. By applying the principle of movement, we have clockwise movement equals to anti-clockwise movements. So clockwise movements is F1 into L1 and the anti-clockwise movements is F2 into L2. So F equals to mg. By putting these values in this equation and by rearranging, we have F2 equals to 40 Newton. So this is all about the numericals of this chapter.